All righty, we're starting to get some people in here. Hey, Jeff, you got your official M&M convention badge all printed out. All right, stuffed in a sleeve and lanyard, and that you're ready to go. All right, man. If you got a picture of yourself, just take a selfie. I'd be glad to post that here later in the show as well. And there's other people happen to have their badges ready as well. Be glad to have it. Have to show those as well. Yep. Hello, John. Glad you're here. Setting up for another night. That's right. Greetings from Tampa Bay. Thank you for coming in from Florida and coming in from Michigan. And BJW, we've got sweet Harriet. Harriet, counting down the minutes. That's right. It's not going to be long. Counting down the seconds at this point. Roger Johnson. Hey, the great Raj. Glad you're here. Robert Walnut, hello from New York. I've got your badge coming up.
It's Thursday night.
Excited.
You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
All right. So glad that everybody is in the house over here then this evening. This is just a fantastic evening. We have an opportunity to get together, and I decided after I was thinking about just a lot of things about how Mike Caveney had been posting and Ray Anderson these pictures of posters over the last year. I thought I would start posting some pictures of different convention badges that I've attended over the years when I was convention editor for that old magazine, Magic. I think it was called Magic Magazine. Yeah, that was it. Anyhow, that I, my chief would publish those things. So I've got all these badges and everything. And so I thought I would share them. And I thought to have everybody make them feel as if that you are part of this then as well, that you can actually print out your own badge. So I've got the badge, so that way you kind of feel like that you are here then as well. In fact, just so you kind of know what that looks like, I'm going to show you just a little bit of that badge up close over here. That would look like that. So if you're interested in getting a badge like that, all you have to do, you see, that's going to be like that one right there. Then you would just need to go to M&M badge, and you can download your own. It will look like that one right over there. That's right. And you just kind of put your name on the bottom of that, print that out, put it in a little sleeve, and you can have your own badge. Or if you just send me an email, I'll be glad then to send one to you that it could be personalized more like that. And I've only got about 20 of those left. I've had a few people who have already asked for that. And so if you're interested in doing that, just drop me an email, scottwellsmagic@gmail.com. And I guess that's as good as any. I'll be glad to send one to you. So we've had a few people actually who have already put this in and have done it. And I want to thank, first of all, there was, where is this? Hey, Mark Rich had said, yeah, greetings from Georgia. And I want to thank him for being one of the first people actually to do that. There he is over there. So that, you see, is, let me see, who was that? That was, let me see, Mark the Mage. Where was that? I had, yeah, I think that was Mark the Mage. That was it. Yeah, Mark the Magical Mage. Yeah, Mark Rich. Thank you, Mark, very much. So that is him over there. So thank you, Mark, very much for doing that. The rest of you guys, once you get your name badges printed up, I'd be glad to show your pictures on here then too. Golly. Okay. So thank you, Mark and Nick Lewin. Glad you're here. Thanks, buddy. And I've got to take another drink. Cheers to you. From Driftwood, Texas, kind of the same neck of the woods, just north of Austin over there from Nick, is Mark Holstein. Glad you're here, Mark and Sue. And up from Chicago, my best friend in Magic over there. Hello, Don. Glad you're here with me as well tonight, my friend. Maureen, up there in Canada. Montreal, I think. Is that right? You're here. So glad that you're here. Dan Sclair, you've got a badge coming. You've already requested that. I've already got it printed, and it is... where did I put that? It is actually about ready to go out. In fact, I got it down there ready to go out tomorrow. Patrick, Sir Patrick, thank you very much for tuning in then again. Harriet, you've got one. Actually, that was a surprise I've already put in the mail. You should have gotten, hopefully, but you didn't get it today yet, but it's in the mail to you. Yes, Mark was a handsome guy. Good to see you, Kirby Van Birch. Good to have you over here, Terry. Morgan, also from the Catskills in New York. Appreciate you being here. Dan Sclair, hello, everyone. And over on YouTube, got John Keever. you're going to print yours up, please do. And if you want to post or send me a picture, I can throw that up over here. If not this week, then next week. Jody Barron, man, at Magic Live, that's the last time I got to see you. Love you, man. It's just been a long time. So glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. And Tim also from Darien, Illinois. And glad to have you here. And as Dan says, it looks real cool. Yeah, because I'd sent him the picture of what it looks like. And Harriet, of course, you're welcome. Listen, we got some people to come in who want to actually share this evening with us, and that you might have some questions or something of them. And if you do, I encourage you then to please post your comments and your questions. Just go ahead. You're in the chat line, whether you're on YouTube or you're watching this on Facebook, and you'll be able then to join us. And during this time, by the way, if you like the show, show us a little love over there. All you have to do is just kind of hit that, hit the like or love or laughter or whatever that happens, during the show. I hope you will do that. And David Hankins over here then too. Hey, Jack Hart's here then too from Colorado Springs. Great to see you, Jack. Thanks again for being here. Okay, let's get this party started and bring in some of the guests over here. And golly, in no particular order, but let's show you this first video. And this is a video, by the way, I did an episode with this gentleman for the podcast some time ago out in Las Vegas. You can see the sign right over there. And if you want to see the longer video of his workshop, then just go to the archives and you'll see it. But this will tell you a little bit about and show you a little bit of behind the scene with Mr. Bill Smith.
Hi, Bill Smith. Welcome to Magic Ventures here in fabulous Las Vegas.
So where are we now? What's going on?
This is my workshop. It's a little bit of a mess.
Well, the workshops are supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay, so this thing, it's best not to show that big thing.
Okay.
This was made by the guys who used to work for John Gahn. So you don't really video it.
I'm not.
I was going to, we refurbished it, made it look a little different. So.
Man, you got a lot of steel and a lot of fabrication equipment. My gosh. How many employees?
4.
Okay.
4, yeah. And they're, so it's kind of, you can show the posters of the, I mean, I've got this warehouse where I can really hang the stuff. Unfortunately, they take a beating out here in the shop.
I was going to say,
that's a one of a kind, but it's not really. It's Thurston presents Dante, but it's not worth that much because nobody wants these big giant.
That's the thing about it. You don't have any place to put them up unless you own a warehouse.
Here's username over here. That's a.
All right. Well, that's just a sneak preview of what's behind you because you're right there at Magic Ventures right now, Mr. Bill Smith. Hey there, Bill.
Right. Hey, Scott. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much.
I invited 2 of my friends in alphabetical order, Alexander and Blackstone, right behind me. You see them?
Yep. Alexander and A and B. And so have you got somebody all the way down to Z?
Not yet. But yeah, that's an old video. I mean, I'm in a whole new shop now because that was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, it was, yeah. I took a week to go out to Las Vegas and had a chance to visit with 3 or 4 people per day over the week period. And hopefully, when we get going, then again, I'll be able to get back out there. I know that you had some stuff that was kind of secret that we couldn't show, So Kirby was asking, are you still in Hawaii? I don't know if he was talking to one of us. I've been talking.
Hawaii.
None of us are in Hawaii then, right? I think he was talking to somebody else. Raymond Ricard. Hey, Raymond, glad you're here. My buddy across town, Gene Protus, is here. Kirby is saying, oh, yeah, who doesn't love Bill Smith? Exactly. And that is a heck of a workshop, as Nick said. Every tool we own is in the kitchen drawer.
Well, I'm trying to downsize. I went from 6,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. My next move is maybe back to my mom's garage. Who knows?
She knows.
Yeah.
Well, have you got a little martini or something there?
Yeah, actually, I've been on a diet. I don't know if you can tell by that video. I've lost about 50 pounds. And so I all to Michelob Ultra. It's a little plug.
Maybe I should change.
In my Magic Castle tumbler. So.
Wow. Very cool.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Okay. So that was Bill's. Let me get over here just a second. I was going to say that is Bill's sizzle reel. So we have another.
I have a better one than that, Scott.
What? You what?
I do have a better sizzle reel than that.
Something better than that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That we could have shown. But let me bring on our next guest here rapidly. And he had sent us a sizzle reel. Actually, he did. And so this is one that I picked up. I enjoy this.
Winners of the award for Best Magic Review, Mark, Kalin, and Ginger, and Jeff Hobson.
All right, and there he is.
I also
Mark
have a
Kalin,
better
welcome,
sizzle
Mark.
reel than that.
What was that?
I also have a better sizzle reel than that.
Yes, you do.
Yours
And
look
I
better than mine.
You
I
had sent
remember
me
that garage in your mom's house, Bill.
That's right. I know.
in your mom's house.
Yeah,
My
that's
mom's
where it
house.
started.
I actually started in Stan Allen's back room of his magic shop, then my mom's garage. So
Ah,
that's
okay.
a whole other story.
Mark, have you got a little beverage over there you're
I'm
enjoying?
having coffee in my illusionist mug right there.
Wow, is that super cool? Well, cheers to you. And let's bring on our third and final guest over here. And
Is that necessary?
this was
Your best
about as
friend.
close to a sizzle reel as I could get for him. Likewise, I had recorded this a few years ago, Bill, whenever I was in your shop. I went over to his shop and recorded a little bit of this, and this is kind of relevant.
What have you got here?
Oh, we got everything here. Jeez. You have to understand, people that come to Magic Live were always dangerous because they're very creative people. And then with the advent of desktop publishing and photoshopping and being able to do everything on the fly, they just became armed and dangerous. And one year when we had all of the high school graduation pictures, mine was not one of them, but sure enough, mine ended up in there. Because somebody grabbed a photo and did it. And I think one year, somebody said you have to go use the urinals. Well, I don't really have to. Yes, you do. You have to go use the right now. And sure enough, in every single urinal, somebody had placed this. Yes. I didn't even know that's what they were called at the time. And so we have practical jokers that love to get involved. And this was just a microphone stand for when we did Late Night Live, when we were experimenting with a digital program late at night, and you could watch it online, every night, and you could catch up. And we all know Magic Magazine started with a fortune cookie, and so in our 2016, we created fortune cookies, and we'd have a typo in the fortune cookie, considering instead of considering.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, and the funny part was, 2 days later, I gave it to Weber. Weber had fun with it in the thing, so I gave it to him. And nobody had said a word to me about it. 2,000 fortune cookies went flying out there, and did they just miss it?
Well, perhaps they did.
I just want to say,
So much sizzle.
I just want to say, I do not have a better sizzle reel than that. So
That's as good as you get on your sizzle reel.
That's about as exciting as I get here.
Chris Angel is in. He's here.
That's right. Piss Angel.
It wasn't my doing. I was just pointing out what has happened over the years.
So you're not
That
going to
was
say
a great
you're
gag.
not going to say who was responsible, but his initials.
I know
were
who it is, but a
DK.
lot of people tried to take credit. And I
yeah.
know it was one particular guy, but
Yeah.
one of our mystic buddies tried to take credit, but it wasn't his idea.
It kind of falls in the, we found a wallet with $500 in it. Well, whoever lost it, form a line around the left side of the building. It's the same thing. If it's funny, everybody's going to take credit for it.
Exactly.
That's right. And if it's not, it's somebody else's.
They blame it
That's
on me then. The producer
That's
did.
right.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
One of the reasons I got all of you guys in here, of course, was because you are just a sampling, as I said, of the Long Beach Mystics, which was a group that was back in the 60s and 70s, I guess. And I at first thought this was actually a group that was a young group, I guess, but not necessarily the case, because I know you had several other people who were a little bit older.
We were young. We were young
at one time. It was an under 21 group, but we had mentors.
Yeah.
A lot of the good guys stuck around.
But part of what happened was the other club in Long Beach was an IBM ring, and we thought they were the old fart school of magic. You know, we were 20 years old, 21 years old. And so nobody sort of wanted to go join that group. And instead, we just kept hanging around with the kids. A lot more fun.
And it did start in 1955, because that's the year I was born. And when I've done a few lectures, and I said 55 was an important year because the Mystics started and Disneyland opened. And that Disneyland, I bought my first trip there. And of course, the Mystics changed my life for sure.
Don't blame us. See, it's back to that blame thing, you know.
Mark, how did that change your life?
Mystics, not at all. I barely remember them.
You barely remember them.
I mean, that is a club, right?
Yeah.
Long Island.
No, the Mystics were everything. I was in Magic, not even near Long Beach, about an hour away. But once a month, I found out that some friends of mine would hop in a station wagon and head down to Long Beach for this Magic club. And yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. There were other kids like me that had a love of magic. I didn't really know that anybody else existed like me at the time. And then the other thing that was core for me is everybody was a little bit older than me. Mike and Stan and Bill. So I really looked up to these guys, and they sort of accepted me. And it was a club about performing and a club about being original and trying things. So yeah, it definitely, I don't know that I would have stayed with Magic had the Mystics not come along.
Well, you apparently had also around that time, I guess, had an assistant, and I've got a picture over here. It looks like with you and an assistant.
Yes, that would be Linda. That was the pool act. Despite the mustache, I was 17 there.
So are you borrowing someone else's mustache?
Yeah, well, I bought a mustache. That was the pool act. That was Linda. That was the barrel. The barrel trick, the barrel substitution was inspired and gifted to me by Mike and Stan.
You mean those guys?
That right there. There they are.
You guys rehearsed this, didn't you? Good.
Almost.
Where is that hair now? I want to know where the hair is.
Well, what was amazing is when Mark right off the bat, I think he was 13 when I joined, and he was already doing an excellent billiard ball routine. And then we had the idea to do the pool act. At that time I was building out of my mom's garage, so I built his pool act, the early version of it. And then he worked with Stan and Mike, and I guess a couple others on the routining and everything of the act. So that was really the greatest part, because Mark's 5 years younger than me, and Stan's 5 years older. There we go.
There you go. And you had a little more hair too.
That's right.
Oh, that's a good looking picture, Bill. I remember that.
Yeah, some people said I used to look like Glenn Campbell, maybe.
Maybe Satan's get Glenn Campbell.
I remember one night Mike and I driving over to Kalin's house.
Yes.
And you showed us some of the stuff you were working on, and we threw out a bunch of ideas. And about 2 weeks later, you invited us back, and we came back, and you had tried these ideas. And we got in the car after that night, and we said, crap, we got to be careful what we suggest to this guy. He's going to go work on it. He doesn't know any better that this was a bad idea.
2 words, green art.
Green art.
I was just going to say that. That's why he came up with this green art, and we're all going, you know what?
Sounds like
I don't think it's going to work, especially how you were utilizing it with the rack of pool balls, because the green was a further back. But he said, "I'll be damned, it works." So
it was the appearance of a rack of pool balls that had apparently that rack had been sitting there through the whole act, sort of in the table. But yeah, I mean, that was the spirit of the Mystics, was to try it out, do it, perform. I mean, the meetings were once a month. So for me, that month was everything. Practicing, trying something new, and then doing it on the next meeting, and getting the feedback and getting the encouragement.
What was your audition, Mark? Because I think you were a member even before I was.
No, I don't think so.
How old were you when you joined?
12.
Well, it was close to
72.
the same time. But what was your audition?
Wait a minute. We should explain.
Okay.
You had to audition to get into the club.
But did anybody not get in?
Pardon me?
Did anybody not get in?
Yeah, one guy.
Yeah.
Well, who did not get in?
I don't think we should name names here.
Wasn't that Les Arnold?
Yeah,
Les
it
Arnold.
would have been good if it had been Les Arnold, but it wasn't.
Yeah, Les called me today. He says, "Make sure you give me a shout out." So there was
there's your shout out, Les.
That's all you get, Les.
Yeah, that's it. No. It was a guy who he did a whole spoof act, and it was very extensive. I mean, he built a vanishing cage of birds that looked exactly like the Owen cage that vanished. And he set it on top of the Owen cage table so that he could throw it up in the air and have the whole cage crash down. He went to a lot of trouble. And we just kind of said, look, why don't you come back next month and do any trick you want? Do
anything.
A rope trick, and you're in the club. But you have to do a trick, real. So, no, everybody else made it in. Didn't matter if they were any good, bad, indifferent.
And I didn't know that. So when I did my audition, and I was 16 at the time, so I was buying props. I had a Blackstone vanishing bird cage. That's what I opened up with. And I had a Westgate Bull production and a Grant T chest vanish. And so I had some good stuff. And I did the audition. And afterwards, I didn't hear anything from anybody. I go home and my mom said, "Well, how was it?" I said, "I don't even know if I got in." So the next month I go, and Ron Anderson was the vice president. Armando Gutierrez was the president. And I was like, "Hey, did I get in?" Me and this one other kid. And they go, yeah. And if you have the nerve to get up and actually do it, we let you in. But he said, "And now though, you have to pass the physical agility test. Give me 10 push-ups." And I went, "What the hell is this?" So Stan can describe why that was a joke. And that's speaking of practical jokes. That's what the Mystic, long before I joined, these guys were doing all kinds of great pranks and jokes on each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyway, one guy, Les Arnold, was trying to get on a fire department at the time, so he had to run physical agility tests. So of course that bled over, into the Mystics. Suddenly had to have physical agility tests. It didn't matter, the most unfit group of young men in the world were doing physical agility tests.
Well, I was going to mention Les because, again, I thought he was older than some of the group.
Yes, we're 5'5". Yeah, that's what was so great is the fact that we stuck around and mentored the younger kids, because without Stan and Les and Mike and those, when I was coming in, they would help us a lot. And then with Mark and that's just that's what it was all about.
Mentoring.
I think it's important because, I mean, a lot of people don't know anything about the Mystics. Really what was particularly unique and surprising, which is that it wasn't a really well-known group, but what happened was it drew people with a love of magic from a wide variety over a number of years. And I think within any magic group, if anybody would have gone on maybe 2 members out of the group to, go on to a career in magic, that would have been a pretty heavy ratio. And yet, for whatever reason, from these very few years, from like the 60s through the 70s, help me guys name some of the...
There's so many, but Weber and Kevin James and Armando
Lucero
and Mike. Did I say Mike Weber already? Mike Weber,
Mike Caveney, Les Arnold,
David Diebel,
Dana Daniels.
And I was saying David Diebel also.
David Diebel.
Yeah.
Randy Pryor.
Two things about the Mystics that I think. One was that the older guys, they didn't dictate. So I think in 1969, a guy named Scott Bryan was coming back from a year on the Ringling Brothers show as a clown. So we said, we got to do a big circus production number and use all the kids in the club, all 50, 60 kids in the club on stage, because then mom and dad have to buy tickets. And no older member said, you're out of your mind. They just said, hey, get your friends to help you and do whatever you want to do. And that created an entrepreneurial spirit that I think has helped all of us in the club, whether we stayed in magic or went on to other things. And that's the first thing. And the second thing was we were competitive with each other. And we would, like Mark said, you'd work all month long or all season long to come up with an act to compete. But as soon as you had the contest was over, you helped the person next to you, or you showed them exactly what you were doing. It was a friendly, we were all in it together. We were not like, I'm going to become a star. No, and we didn't care about it as much. We wanted the group to be good.
Did you see what Mike said about
Eric Garza? There's two more.
Yeah, and Mike Caveney, who just said about Chuck Fane couldn't pass the physical agility test. That was funny. But here sums up the mystic spirit. If you're a go-getter, if you love it enough. My first Genie magazine was in 1970. Hank Vermeiden was on the cover, and it was one of the ads was "It's amazing" at Long Beach Millikan High School, the Long Beach Mystics. It's amazing, and I'm like, holy shit, that's my high school, and it's like next week. So my brother and my dad were going to a football game at Long Beach City College. They dropped me off at Millikan High School. And in the ad, it said $1.50. So I had my $1.50. I go up to the box office. I put my money down. And the guy says, it's $2. I said, Genie Magazine said it was $1.50. He says, it's $2 at the door. So I put the money in my pocket and I walked home. I didn't get to see that show.
Oh.
Next year, I was like working on the show, backstage. I mean, it just goes so fast. You had to be a go-getter. The guys that sat on the sideline did, everybody of us had became pros or still in the field some way or another. We're go-getters as a kids, and that just helped us.
But the other thing is, and this remains to this day, a lot of really amazing mentors, professional magicians, they are attracted to somebody that like a group of kids that are really into magic and really respectful. That was another thing. I think there was a general real respect for people like Marvin Roy, and through those years, Marvin and a number of people.
Did you have people who came in like Marvin Roy who actually who came in to give lectures and things to you guys?
We never had a lecture, not once.
No, we never did. We didn't have lecturers come in. Marvin came one time. Peter Pitt brought him down one time. But what would happen is the Mystic Show annual show started gathering a following. And Bill and the Larsons would come, and Marvin, if he was in town, or other professionals.
Dick Simmons on the show.
Dick was a good supporter. Yeah. And they were on the show. We would always have like one guest staff. We had Nino. We had Lee Edwards.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people.
But it was.
And another thing is, I produced 3 of the It's Amazing shows. I was 18, 19, and 20, I think. And that when I went off to work with Ab Dixon and Harry Blackstone Jr., I learned theater from working on the It's Amazing shows. And Stan did an amazing job putting all these cue sheets and a Bible for how to do a Mystic show. I still have it, and a lot of practical advice. And it was just a great learning experience, because you could actually go out and do. If the kid wanted to do behind the scenes, that's what they did. They wanted to perform, they did that as well.
So is this interesting to anybody but us?
I don't think so. No.
Move on.
I don't know.
Let's talk about some of the. I don't know.
Okay, well, here was a question.
Let's talk about number 14 rather than 13.
A non-mystic question. So Fred King was wanting to know whether or not that the Collectors Expo is still on in August.
Well, let's talk about Magic Live first.
Oh no!
You sure?
If we're going to do that, yeah.
No, yeah, mine's still on. I'm sold out with a long waiting list. But as people that stand, you want to make the announcement, or a lot of people probably know.
Well, we sent out an email today canceling Magic Live for 2021. And Bill Smith states you're like the 3 days leading into it, and you're still going, and which is great. I think smaller regional conventions or specialty conventions are going to be terrific.
And I know people are concerned because the reason mine's still going and Stan's isn't. I have less than 200 people. You know, Stan has this really big convention. The challenges had to be enormous. So, you know, June 1st here in Vegas, we're open 100%. And no social distancing. I think people still have to wear masks, but I'm doing it. I mean, I've delayed it. This is the third time I had to delay it, and I'm doing it.
That had to kill you.
It was tough, man. It was really tough. But the greatest thing that David Copperfield, that's the big thing, is a tour of David's museum, and he's been so good about this. And he just says, whatever it takes. When you're ready to do it, we're doing it. And so. With David being off for a year, the museum is even better because he worked the last year on his library and other parts of it. So yeah, the dates are still set. We're doing it.
Okay. That's good. And so, yeah, people are getting ready to do that. I was going to say, by the way, they had a question or something over here. Chris Smith said, I like it, Mark. And Jack says, your stories are interesting. So there's your answer.
Love Jack.
He likes
Jack Hart's the best.
Yep. And Mitch, lots of interest in the lore of the mystics. You know, so much history, so much that you got over there.
Wait a minute here. We have to clear up something from the last show, don't we?
Actually, we do. And, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I did want to say, you know, that was something that came from your friend over here. Mike,
is this...
And Mike Caveney had asked a question from last week's episode, and he was wanting to know, Mark, who is your best friend?
I can't believe Mike brought this up.
I had forgot about it till they told me today. I remember I was there.
I did too.
You forgot about it?
So
you want to set it up? I'll kind of set it up.
We're talking about the spirit of the mystics. This was the quintessential moment of kicking somebody when they're down.
But the circumstances.
Well, wait a minute. We should clarify.
When the dagger's in twisting, it's taking it and turning it one more time for good measure.
Yeah, but you have to understand, the mystics were a no-nonsense group. And somebody would say, well, what do you think of it? And somebody else might say, I don't know. They look like crap to me.
Man, we were entirely nonsense. What are you saying? So, okay. How long ago was it? There was occasionally
it was 16 years ago because Les had done.
No, it was the second one.
The first one. What we did is
I decided
I wanted to get back to work doing
Mystic at the castle, right?
Yeah, we did a whole week at the castle where we did everything except park the cars because they wouldn't let us behind the wheel wisely. And so we had in all the rooms and on the stage. We did it twice, and the second time, Mike Caveney had been the MC the first time all week long, and he said, I'm not doing this again.
That's right, yeah.
So we just said, we'll have a tag team. First person on, we do an voiceover, and then such and such, and then you just introduce the next person. And so Mark's out doing, what were you doing, rings?
Wait. Okay, I have to preface this, all right?
How long do we have?
You're right, Mark. No one cares about this.
All I got to do is the freaking billiard balls and then intro you, because that was the idea. You do your little spot, and then you throw it to the next guy. No big deal. I forget what I was suffering at the time. Here in Reno, I think it was a back thing. And it's a 10-hour drive to L.A. down on a Monday for Mystic Week. And I'll try to make this really quick. But I went to the doctor because I couldn't even stand up straight.
That's already on medication.
And he gave me some medication. Okay. I am a person, the worst thing for me is side effects, right? I mean, if somebody gives me NyQuil, I will be up all night. You know, where it says, may cause excitability in children. Well, that's me. So I just don't. One time in the Philippines, I freaked out in a hospital and they had to chase me and catch me because I was trying to escape because I had this effect. All right. So the doctor gives me this stuff. I'm supposed to drive down on a Sunday to do the mystic thing. And, but I take these pills. Oh, I remember. And he told me, he said, different people have reactions to these. They actually have a wide variety of things. They even give them to forget what it was, to epileptics. That should have been right there. I should have said, you know what, probably not for me. Anyway, on Sunday.
Are you still telling this?
What?
Are you still telling this? I took
You know,
part
this
of the
is important,
backstory.
Stan.
I dozed
Stan,
off. I'm sorry.
Stan, can you turn him off?
He's your best friend. Oh,
Anyway,
That's
so
right.
I have a bad reaction. And I'm all sweating and I'm nervous. And I think I can't do Mystic Week. And Ginger says, call the doctor. And the doctor doubles down. He says, the problem is your dose is too small. So when you wake up in the morning, and I got to drive 10 hours to make the evening performance, billiard balls, I take a double dose. And it was, first of all, I was out of my mind. I'm driving by myself. I'm sweating. I'm nervous and everything. I think, but all I got to do is the billiard balls and then intro Stan Allen. And I arrive at the castle probably about 4 p.m. and people are setting up. And I'm trying to cover up that I'm having a hard time here. Got all my buddies there, just got to do the billiard balls. And I realize not only am I sweating and I'm worried about I'm not going to be able to manipulate the balls, but I'm having trouble with my language. I just couldn't put a thought together in my head, a really bad reaction. And I'm trying to cover this up. And they say, intro the billiard balls, do them, and then just intro Stan. I can't even, at that point, I go, I can't remember what's Stan do? I knew it had something to do with a magazine, but I mean, I was really messed up. So I'm outside the castle door in that area and I'm practicing and I'm thinking, you know, all right, I just got to finish the billiard balls. And now here's a guy, you know him from the live of the Magic. Anyway, suffice it to say, I go on stage. All I have to do is finish the billiard balls. Mike Caveney is off stage on the right. Stan is over to the left of me at the castle.
I was there too.
Bring him on. Yes. Oh, yeah, everybody was there.
Yeah.
Important thing is that Mike is like 10 feet to my right, seeing me struggle out there. And I, you know, at the castle you can see everybody. There's Jim Steinmeier, and there's the Chuck and Jan's. Everybody's out there, and I struggle through the balls, and I almost drop them. And you know when you sweat and you get that sweat in your eye, and you start blinking, and then I stand up, and I've just got to introduce Stan, and I just blank, and I say, and now somebody you know, and I was struggling. I just wanted to get off stage. So I just said, ladies and gentlemen, my best friend forever, Stan Allen. And I turned to walk off with this feeling like, what an idiot. And as I passed Mike, he goes, fuck you. Thank you, Mike, for that vote of confidence. Did I bleep that? I don't think I did.
I don't think you did. So wait a minute. I'm not your best friend forever?
Yes, you are. No,
Okay.
Yes, you all are.
We don't have to actually say it
one of
on
the
the
worst.
podcast. We don't have to say
I
it.
don't
All we have to
take
do is
any
point
medication.
like this.
I don't take any medication anymore. You know what? I'm really worried about my second Pfizer because people are having reactions, and I'm going to get it, of course, but I react.
Mine was good. No problem.
Now, these things, but that's the thing. The Mystics did things on stage, off stage. I mean, we spent weekends over at somebody's house with a pool, or we would go to the movies together, or we would do these practical jokes together. And yeah, I mean, once it landed me in jail. So, I mean,
What?
these things,
Wait a minute. How'd you get in jail?
oh, it was very easy. These guys, and I think James Hamilton started this with some guys out of up in Hollywood, but they would take a vanishing bird cage and walk up to a trash can with one of those little flip lids, and they would reach inside and then bring their hands out and making sure nobody saw them, attracting all the attention they could, and they'd walk away without the cage, and then people would start digging through the cage, the trash can, looking for the cage. So we decided we're going to go down to the Pike, which is an amusement park that was pretty sleazy even then. And I've never had a bird cage on in my life, but I've got one on. How hard is it? All you have to do is reach your hand in the trash can. The cage does it all by itself. And we're all walking along, James Hamilton, myself, Les Arnold, a couple other guys.
I think Les is calling in right now.
That's probably Les.
He wants comments.
As we're walking towards it, a police officer walks up to me and says, "Is that one of those cages that you pretend to put in the trash can and make people dig through it?" I'm 15 years old. I'm going, So yeah, turns out he had fallen for it the week before. And so, yeah. So we were playing the joke all night long. And as we were leaving, I went into this like pool hall place, and I'd go into the back, let the cage fall, fold up. And then I would walk out, and this lady sitting at a cash register had a big stick, and she put it across the door, and said, "Go get it." And I said, "Go get what?" She goes, "Go get the bomb."
Oh,
the
yeah.
bomb. Okay, so now I walk back where the pool tables are, and I pull the cage back out. Now, I've been playing with this thing all night long.
You don't just pull it out. You reenact the trick. Reverse it. True magician.
So I'm walking by her, and I say, "Yeah, take a look. It's a bomb." I vanish it. She starts yelling. It exploded. Starts bringing out scraps of wood from underneath the counter. And suddenly 2 police officers arrive. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm 15 years old. And my father got a phone call to get his criminal out of juvenile hall at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think, next week I'm off restriction for that.
He's been a ruffian ever since.
I have been. That's
living
right.
on the edge or the verge.
So you're qualified to be a Long Beach Mystic, it sounds like, with those qualifications.
I want to know, anybody else in the group land in jail? I'm just checking,
No, but we had our share of dubious characters.
Oh, yeah.
For an example, Bill?
Well, there were Vernon Butts was a guy who was a part-time magician and a mystic. He came a couple of meetings, and as it turned out, he was a accomplice to the Hills. What was it, Stan? The Hillside Strangler or the Freeway Killer?
Freeway Slasher, I think.
Yeah.
A serial killer chopped up bodies and put them in trunks.
And didn't the Times call you and ask, because it was part of it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting story. Tell them the.
Well, I get a phone call one day, and it's over at our little magic shop the Mystics had there, and I ran, and I got a phone call, and they said, "You got to talk to this reporter," and they want to talk about all this Long Beach Mystic guy that is arrested for Freeway Slasher or whatever it was at the time. And I sat with this reporter for an hour on the phone and just told her everything and said, "Look, you can make us sound like a bunch of bad guys, or because she was talking about, did your magic shop really have spiders that would fall down? Yeah. Did it really have a coffin up on display? Yeah, a pine wood box. Every magic shop had one of these." And I claimed victory when the page-and-a-half story came out in the LA Times, and we did not get mentioned.
And weren't you referred to as ex-con Stan Allen?
Yeah, I didn't bring that up to her. I might have forgotten to mention that part at the time.
You'd already done time.
I had done time. But he committed suicide in jail. He hung himself.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
magic will do that to you.
Well, some of us, it just takes longer to get to that point.
Yes.
Someone had asked also, Stan, about whether you're drinking out of a light bulb.
I am. This is my favorite glass. It's a light bulb glass. And Mike Mode sent me these to me for ideas.
Mike Mode. Hey, Mike Mode.
And
Mike Mode has good ideas like the piss cake.
Pardon me?
Like the piss cake.
Mike Mode has good ideas like the piss cake.
Well, that wasn't his idea, was it?
I thought it was. But
however, I think of Marvin Roy.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
Very cool. There was some.
There must be some question somewhere.
There was. Someone had asked about. Let's see. What was that? They rolled over their magic registration after getting the email, and there was some other question about what was that? Oh, this is an interesting one that goes to you, Stan. Can you talk about the
decision on Magic Live? All right, if we're going to do that, I'm going to have to pour some more. Hang Hang on.
Yeah, I'm the only drinker of the Mystics, and I make up for all of them. So
Good man. Cheers to you.
What is that
You've
with
been losing weight
magicians and
too.
drinking?
That's great.
huh?
What is it with magicians and drinking? Why are magicians such wishlies? I mean, historically, non-drinkers, right?
I'm the type, if you're in show business, you don't drink, I worry about you a little bit. So real show business.
Real showbiz.
All right, back
All
to
right.
Magic Alive.
Oh, we sadly, over the last 2 weeks, we've been reevaluating everything on it, and it came to the point of where we just didn't feel we could do it right. And the idea of doing a Magic Live that can't have all the elements that we want to have just doesn't sound like any fun at all. And so we sort of took a vote, and I won. And decided it was better. It was better rather than do something we're not proud of. We'd rather wait. And we did adjust the dates. We moved our dates up until May. So we're May 15th through the 18th. So we're sooner. We're not in August of 22, but we're in May. So, so that was pretty much the decision. It was a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things that we had to look at. But that was the bottom line. If you can't do it right, it's just not fun to do.
I would think, of course, you're going to be having a requirement to have, let's say requirement, in order to give them the full experience, the full Monty that you want everybody to have. You're going to need to have enough lead time in order to print these things so they arrive in time. You can't wait until a month from now and all of a sudden the CDC for Nevada says, hey, we're opening it up for everybody, and then you got to hurry and rush. Those things may not arrive in time to give everybody,
But it rolls over to the counties May 1st, correct?
Yeah.
So it's no longer the starting May 1st, the counties can dictate the parameters. So I know.
This is a good segue because Mark is really up on this thing because he is now producing a weekly Weird Reno. Tell us about that and your conflicts with you've been dealing with the government. Isn't that fun? They're here to help, right? Government?
Actually, it's been easy, but it's because live in Reno. Love Reno. There's a reason we live here in Reno. We moved here for a show called Carnival of Wonders 22 years ago, and just actually couldn't, when the contract was up, we couldn't stand leaving. We just liked living here. But we were about 3 or 4 months into the pandemic, and like everybody, total cessation. We had 2 years of contracts well into 2022 with the illusionists and corporates and all kinds of things that were just nothing. So after cleaning the garage the 14th time, I'm a project person, and actually so is Ginger. So we started to try to figure out what we could do that would allow us to do magic, we, like everybody, we were feeling disconnected from our family and friends and community. And the interesting thing was it was an idea that I'd had as far back as 2008. And I'll just say right now, it was inspired by some really key things. But of course, number one, by the Bizarre Bath, which, by the way, I've never seen. The one time we were in Bath, England, Noel and his gang were not working that day. But I just always thought that was an intriguing idea. And the idea of a venue can be anything or anywhere, unconventional. I just like that idea. So we started on a project called Weird Reno, which is a historical tour of offbeat history, which Reno has a lot of. We have a beautiful river and all this, a Riverwalk district, and magic and interactive. And the one thing that I knew was that I wanted to model this business. The business model for this was based on every mistake that we'd made in the past we weren't going to do. So we started to have this idea. And I also knew that as much as I loved the idea of the Bizarre Bath, that whatever we did would come out being different and unique to Ginger and I. And our original launch, we had planned for last Halloween. And but of course, the numbers were going up, so we pushed it off. But finally, when we hit the new year and we chose March, and people were getting vaccinated and things were opening up. And, you know, the idea was, you know, we couldn't gather. It couldn't be a show. It couldn't be in a theater. But as long as we were outdoors walking, we were a walking tour. And actually, the city embraced it and gave us tons of support from the beginning. And the other key thing was we were looking for a host location, a sort of a partner. And that was a hotel here called the Renaissance, which is just a beautiful non-gaming hotel on the river. They welcomed us, and you know, that's sort of our starting location. And we go off on this sort of walk in the downtown with history and magic, and then we end up back at the Renaissance. And we debuted just about a month ago. And we do Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We're about to expand the days. And much to our surprise, we have been at capacity at every tour, which is about 35 per tour.
That's great.
So Mark, are you saying that if I took Magic Live and made it a walking convention,
yes,
we could have been doing it?
Yes. You could have put it in the parking lot. The key thing the city told me, said, as long as you are, you know, moving, as long as, I mean, the key thing was that we were largely outdoors, that it was a walking tour, but it was not a gathering in the classic sense. Now, since then, things have loosened up a little bit. And of course, restaurants and bars can now have a certain amount of people in them. So it's even gotten, but yeah, it's that, you know, you're given lemons, make lemon pie. What are and you know what, here's another interesting thing about it was the concept was to be flexible, not be stuck with any one thing. Whatever we were dealt with, you can't go here, good, we'll go there. You can't do this, okay, we'll do that. It actually was a very freeing way to create something. And what came out of it, you know, I'm pretty proud of. It's pretty neat.
There was a question also about what's going on in the Reno area magic-wise. My friend of the Magic Ward and good buddy Fred King was asking what's going on in Reno.
Well, first of all, you'll love Reno. Reno is a fantastic place. It's a beautiful community. That's what we stuck here for all these years. There's not a lot of magic up here. There's some. A small magic community, I would say a handful, but of course also it's growing here, and Reno is growing at a tremendous rate. So it's developing. But thank you, Nick. I just saw Nick Lewin there. But so look me up, Fred. I'm happy to show you around. I'm happy to get you on the tour and introduce you to the magic community here.
That sounds great. Anything else, Stan, as far as next year goes? You know, this great T-shirt that you gave us way back when. Let me get this other badge over to the side here. These were some pretty cool things. You always had some pretty cool gifts that you gave out as far as perks for that. How do you come up with these different ideas of what you're going to give away?
It's the hardest thing every time, trying to figure out, because people say, I don't want another bag. I don't want another Padfolio or whatever. So we try to start with a theme and hopefully find a way to tie it all together. So, but now we have another year to rethink everything we've thought about for the last year. There you go.
This is his best giveaway. In fact, I think I have 3 of them, and it's amazing. This is the 25th, the best, you know, sweatshirt that I've ever had.
The crazy part about that is we gave away a sweatshirt in August in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's 105 degrees outside, and we give away this sweatshirt. And people kind of go, oh, yeah, thanks. Oh, yeah, thanks. It wasn't a big deal. And then around November, we started getting pictures of people in their sweatshirt going, oh, I love this giveaway. So,
especially when here in Vegas, we try to get together once a week before Lance Burton moved away. We were for lunches to get Peter Ravine out and Norm Nielsen out. And during the cold weather, literally there'd be 3 or 4 of us wearing Stan's, you know, sweatshirt.
I have a few boxes in the warehouse if anybody's interested. No, I'm kidding.
Of more sweatshirts?
Oh, well, you have to order extra because of sizing. You know, we just did our best guess. I mean, we were suddenly on that product. It was our first apparel. And so we just, you know, we tried to create a bell curve of mediums would be the most or larges or whatever. And it's really hard to project out what sizes everybody is going to be. Yeah.
Typical Stan, which is, I started working with him at his magic shop when I was 16, and he's always been a detail-oriented guy. And so when he gave out the sweatshirts, there was like a fitting room, right? I mean, I was one of the first through, and I got my chance. I could try them on and going, holy, how the hell is he going to get through all of this? Of course, I guess that didn't last, but I certainly got the one I wanted.
Yeah. Well, we found out that they were all sized larger than we thought they were. And so, we learned a lot. You know, it's just like Mark says, you got to be flexible. You go into these things on the first day, the first minute something opens up, you think you've got the game plan that's going to be great. And sometimes that only lasts about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You suddenly realize,
really fast.
Oh, what happened to that? Nobody thought of that, you know. So
we did our first weekend. We did 5 tours over a weekend for previews, and you know, you spend all these months conceiving and practicing and scripting and working it out. And of course, after that, those 5 preview tours, you know, we actually held off our opening for 2 weeks because I knew everything had to be revamped. I mean, certain things worked beautifully. It's like, oh my God, just as we had imagined. Other things just off, disaster. Throw them out. Got to rethink it.
Stan, Don Weiberg had asked also about whether they're still available. He loves his. And so you said you have a warehouse full of those. You probably have some other crap available, stuff available too. So,
what other shit do you have, Stan?
Jeez, you know? Yeah, my
what
warehouse.
Else you got, and how can they order those?
You know, no, last year, oh God, it's been a year already. Yeah.
Oh, 2 years.
The last time we did Magic Live, I don't remember where it was. I know I was 10 years younger. And we actually did there we go. Yeah.
Nice.
But the good news is we're getting really good at canceling things. So we're learning how to cancel things.
So you like the surprise factor. So it'll be a surprise when you do it again.
I did the same thing when I had to postpone my expo, kept doing that. And I would be like restuffing the envelopes and I changed the schedule 3 times for the badge schedule. So it was like, okay, can we just do this thing and get it over with? But I didn't learn because I think I'm going to continue. And next year I'm going to have in 2022 and 2023, I'm going to keep the Collectors Expo going. And I'll be announcing
in Las Vegas?
No. I think the April of next year, it's not set yet, but tentatively it's going to be in Austin, which is a great magic town. You know that. Ray Anderson's Esther's Follies. Can you imagine going to a convention and the opening night is a Texas barbecue dinner and Esther's Follies and the tour of the Ransom Center, you know, the Houdini collection there.
Let me tell you, by the way, this is something that's going to be actually planned for this year for Austin. We're going to be having the TOM convention. Bertil Fredstrom is going to be the president. And on Thursday, Trixie Bond is working with Eric, what's his name, who is head. There. So we're going to take people from the hotel in a bus to the Ransom Center for 2 hours to spend there, and then have a dinner someplace, and then go to Esther's Follies, and then come back. And then the next morning, Friday morning, in the President's Suite, we'll be having a collectors meeting in which we'll discuss a lot of stuff, of things that we'd seen and whatnot. So that's a taste of what, and the collectors, that'll be just a very few people, probably no more than, I'm saying, I bet you there will be 15 people come. So your deal.
Oh, okay, because you're doing a special event. It's a special event. Yeah. No, I'm going to have, and because of like Nick Lewin doesn't know about it yet, but Mark and Sue do. And I'm going to hit up all my Austin buddies, like John Magic Wright. John Wright, he's got a theater there outside of Austin.
Magic John.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot. What I'm trying to do is, because of the one this year is in Vegas, and it's all about David Copperfield in Las Vegas. Lance Rich is going to do a great talk on vintage Vegas magicians. So when we go to Austin, I want to be heavy on what magic in Austin is. And of course, Ray, the Ransom Center, which is
Ray is awesome.
Unbelievable Houdini collection. And then in 2023, if all goes well, our good friend Bruce Averbrook just built a big house with a big museum and library. And so hopefully we'll be, everybody gets to go see Bruce's museum. And also my buddy Tim Leganke has a great automaton collection. So it's all still, it's nothing set in stone yet. Anybody that's coming to the expo in August gets first dibs on coming, because I have to limit the size of these, It'd be nice to have 1,600 like Stan, but like 150 to 180 is what I'm going to stick to. So,
how deep is the waiting list right now? How many people have you got on the waiting list?
I've got about 20, and now after Stan's announcement, I think I'm going to have a big waiting list. But you never know. So
still get on the list, folks. Get on the list.
Yeah, I think you should. It sounds like that's going to be just a monumental event, certainly. And the fact that Copperfield has been very nice in continuing to work with
unbelievable.
To say, I will do this.
And everybody who goes through the tour gets a free poster, right? They just pick whatever they want off the walls.
Or one of his collectibles, just whatever you kind of pick up from the shelf and you go
on your way out.
Take what you want. I got a bunch of stuff. Whatever you want.
Am I not helping, Bill?
No. You were going to be one of the tour guides. I don't know about that now.
I'm unemployed now, Bill.
I know, but you got to do 12 tours. Basically, I've got 180 people. I have more than that, but I have 100. We're doing 12 tours of 15 people each. So, and we're going to have tour guides. Copperfield will be the main in his Tannen's recreation, and then we let Stan in doing the sections at the Masters of Magic. And Stan knows most of the people that are in there, from Marvin and Channing and all these guys.
Old all of a sudden.
Yeah, and Mike Caveney is going to be in the golden age of magic with all the big heavy hitters, and so it's going to be something really special for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
you can come,
Mike.
Mark,
Actually, of course, is one part of the golden age. He's an old guy.
Mystic discount.
Mark could care less about history, because I see he's just got a couple of cheesy reproductions on his wall behind him.
Wait,
are those originals?
Reproduction?
That's a reproduction.
Expensive reproduction.
Huh?
That was an expensive reproduction.
Yeah.
Mark,
what's the lantern back there? The coal mine lantern.
Mark, here's the answer. Just look at Bill.
Pendragon gave that to me. Sorry. Yes, Stan, go.
I was just going to say, just do that to Bill. Just, give him the Caveney point.
Thank you. That's our tagline now.
Yeah, that's it.
Look him while he's down. He's suffering. Thank you.
By the way, I saw a question go by that asked if there was an online present. No, there isn't for swag for Magic Live. We do have some leftover from a number of years. And last time we did have a little sale beforehand, and you could pick it up there. We'll probably do something like that again. So, but at the moment, no, we don't have an online sale.
Okay. And by the way, speaking of posters, I noticed, of course, behind you, Stan, you want to talk about the posters from Ken's collection there?
No.
Okay. Back to you then, Mark. So...
Yeah, I don't want to hear about that either. It doesn't sound very exciting.
I want to hear
about me in some way.
No. I want to hear the story from your mouth, Mr. Kalin.
Wait, what?
I want to hear it from you. The story of your first show at Knott's Berry Farm with the big.
No, you don't want to hear that. No.
Ooh, yes, we do.
Let's see the hands of the people that would like to hear that story. Can we
raise your hands? That's right.
Look, nothing.
Nothing. Okay, silence. I'm fine.
We can't be living in the past. We need to be thinking about the future.
The future's not as funny as your past is, Mark.
Plus, we have very little future left, as we know.
Well, that is true.
Mark is one of the funniest guys I know, but he's never chosen to do comedy on stage. And
you haven't seen Weird Reno.
Is it hilarious?
It's getting there.
Not by design.
Yes. So you know what? So here's the thing. Weird Reno was something that would fix a lot of ills. I mean, number one, it was a project at a time when needed to feel like we were doing something. And if we could do something that other people would enjoy, that also. Also, it was a chance to do a project, like I said, taking everything that we had learned and done by mistake. What happens if we take all that and put it to a particular project and see if it works that way? And pleasantly surprised, it's a good little machine from a business standpoint. This was put together from a business standpoint as much as creative. But the other thing, exactly what you said, Bill, it's a very freeing experience because the entire career, and even particularly the last 10 years with the illusionist, everything that we do has to be on this grand scale and it has to be perfect. There's no sense of experimentation, particularly when you're on the bill with 6 or 7 or 8 of these other world-class magicians all vying and competing. There's just no opportunity to throw something at the wall or try something this time and not that, or try something, that's just funny, that you just think is funny to do. So that was really a big thing with Weird Reno, was to create a parameters where you could do anything. In fact, the entire idea, somebody said to me when I was talking about doing this project, they said, why not throw it at the wall? If it's a bomb, if it's terrible, who cares? It's the pandemic. And that was the spirit. And you know what? We were talking about the mystics. That was the spirit of the mystics. Try it. How bad can it be? If it's awful, try something else. But just what Bill said, yeah, I'm going out now. I mean, very soon I'll be replacing myself. This is an idea that we want to pull ourselves away from being the central people and just produce it. But right now, I'm having a blast. I go out, come up with a trick or a line or something. And I mean, there's some really neat magic in this that if you know Kalin and Ginger, that would satisfy you. But also, there's some really offbeat, weird stuff. And stuff that we do that, I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, you got 25, 35 people walking on the street. You have this big monolith of craziness that we take into the downtown, and we interact with the people in the restaurants and on the street. And
you're going to have other people doing it eventually?
What's that?
You're going to have other people doing it eventually?
By this summer. The real plan.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who books that gig?
We do.
No,
I'm
he's
not
free.
busy.
He's
I'm
free
not
all
busy.
summer.
No,
I mean, the key thing, I mean, okay, so here's some of the things I took inspiration from, not just in the past year, but for like the last 10 plus years. Creatively, I always thought the idea of the bizarre bath was a interesting idea. And as a matter of fact, our first time we tried to launch this thing was in 2008 when we had our theater Magic Underground, but we never got off the ground. In fact, if not for the pandemic, this would have never got off the ground. But a couple of other things from the business aspect. Number one, chamber magic. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Dick Hatch?
Steve Cohen.
Yes,
Steve
Steve
Cohen,
Cohen.
yeah.
Right from the beginning, I always thought that was a brilliant idea that he had, which was creating a venue where there was no venue. Something that worked for these empty, beautiful suites that the hotels rarely could rent out, or and he would bring something to it. So that was a business inspiration. Another one, Matt King. I always think Matt King is the smartest magician in Vegas. He has an amazing little machine there. He can come and go. It's Matt King, but he can come and go as he pleases. And also a decision that he made early on, if you were ever there back in the beginning, which was Mac had a business partner. And the business partner was there to bring the business and do that part of it. And Mac just had to provide the show. I always remembered that as magicians. We always try to do everything ourselves as producers. And so, yes, we have a business partner in this one, and it has been substantially a better experience. And then the other one is, the last one was the Illusionists. Watching them go in 2012 from their first thing to this multi-million-dollar enterprise, and basically through a kind of franchising. How do you create something that you can step away with and it can still exist? So those were the inspirations for Weird Reno. And very, very soon, within the next few weeks, we're going to start to de-emphasize ourselves in it and be able to make this tour run on its own. And we would, of course, like to bring it to other cities and other places.
That's great. It's very smart.
Way to go, Mark.
Yeah, congratulations. That is really a great idea. And
It
certainly
hasn't happened yet, but fingers crossed. But there's a plan.
So there are other places, just like you were talking about what Noel has over in Bath, where it's really kind of a spooky thing. And there are some spooky tours they have usually around the Halloween season. But yours is year round, which I think is a brilliant idea.
Well, ours is seasonal. We're going to run this tour, the current one, through summer. We had a theater for 5 years called Magic Underground. And we learned, number one, that the seasons for it, then we would close down, and then our Halloween was huge. So yes, we'll do a Halloween version, and then we'll do a Christmas version, our Nog edition. And, you know, really, it's, the new editions are not that hard, you know, different scripting, try some different tricks. You sort of know what to do. And the real challenge is, again, creating something that we can finally replicate and is not so tied to us emotionally or with our names that, you know, and here's something I asked, here's something, Noel has been so forthcoming with me, and we've had these great conversations. And here was a very question I asked him last time we talked, because he was very curious how it was going. I said, he asked me, he says, do you have your deputies yet? Meaning the other people to do the tours. And I said, well, we're getting there. And I asked him how many he had, and I think he said, you know, up to 5, or 5 over a period of time. And I asked him, so how did they do compared to you? And he said, oh, well, you know, nobody does it like me. And I'd watch them and I think, oh, they don't do that right. And, you know, very judgmental that way, as you would be, because you, but then I asked him, so did you ever get any complaints? He goes, nope, never. No, nobody ever complained. Nobody ever really seemed to notice a difference, because the experience of the tour and the expectation, you know, was satisfied, whether it was Noel or others.
Right. By the way, there was a question that someone had asked over here about if there's a link to the Illusionist full show. I know there are snippets that are available, but is there any place that you can actually download or buy a DVD of that?
Hell no. Well, they do sell a DVD, but it's a very early version of the show. But yeah, they protect their footage, as you can imagine, quite a bit, although been very open to allowing the performers and the acts to get the quality footage to use for our own stuff. If you go to our website, bestmagicshow.com, a lot of the footage on there on the website is from, you know, the Illusionist company and letting us use it freely.
Yeah, that's great. And I know also, Stan, you have some things from past Magic live conventions people can go to and watch some of the snippets, but you send those out like in emails, right?
Well, we do, but they're also, if you go to our website and you just look at the gallery, you can see, I think there's a photo slideshow or something of nine lives. And we did that on the 10th one. And also there's, we have these general sessions that are sort of like TED Talks, where 5 or 6 people will talk in a 2-hour span. And we put a few of those up there. The most popular would be Abby Goldrake, talking about recovering from a paralyzing accident. And she took her early first steps on our stage. And it was an amazing talk. You would think it would be a little depressing. It wasn't. It was funny and it was inspiring. And
I
So
will
we
never
have-
forget that.
Yeah.
When she talked, and also when we had Joni Spina wheeling out,
Great.
her oxygen tank and everything.
Yeah, it was
Sorry?
the year Sir Patrick was there, and at the end of it, Joni's crying, Sir Patrick's crying, half the audience is crying.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great, and so we
That was
occasionally get those emotional moments, and they're fun. You cannot write those. You just sort of put all the elements together and hope for the best, and sometimes you get them, and sometimes things go terribly wrong. So,
For an example, like what?
Well, we had a show a couple years ago where I thought it was a good idea to put more comedy acts on the last night instead of magic acts. And funny enough,
Seemed like a
everybody
funny thing at the time.
Well, no,
I've
everybody
seen that guy
thinks-
kill.
I know. Everybody thinks it was the guy on the horse act, but it wasn't. It was our setup of the whole show, and it was a couple acts, and also it was the first time, I think, where people in the audience are sitting there going on social media saying something sucks, or this isn't funny, or this guy's not funny, or the MC's not funny, or this thing's not funny, or that was a terrible joke. And they're critiquing the show right there in real time. And I got to tell you, now we put on there, look, you pay your money to come to the convention. You have every right after the show to say it was crap, you hated it, or whatever you want to. My only thing today is please wait until the show's over. Give us a shot at it, And so that show just went off the tracks, and it stayed off the tracks. And I'm telling you, at 9 o'clock that night, if you had come over to me and said, how's this convention going? On a 1 to 10 scale, I think we're about a 7.5, 8. And then an hour and 15 minutes later, people are suddenly saying it's the worst convention they've ever been to. Wow, how did that go so quickly?
Stan.
Wow, went south fast.
I can feel your pain. This is our first experience with social media, and we're getting all these amazing, Yelp reviews and Google and all this stuff. And the first 3 or 4 weeks, they're all 5-star reviews. Like, fantastic! This is so great. And I got my phone with me, and I'm actually out on the tour, and we got a little break here, and I feel my phone buzz, and I look, and it's the Facebook page. Oh my God, I got a new review, and I see 1 star. This is during the tour. I'm about to talk, and and of course I can't help from it. And during the tour, I read, and this guy is on the tour, and it says 1 star. It says, the downtown is nice, but the rest is dad jokes and all the same magic tricks we've seen before.
You should have called him out on the spot.
I mean, and you just it takes a lot of energy to keep going. Then I was judging every line before.
Exactly. And I think what happened was in intermission, the acts backstage started reading social media. And now they're going out to the second show out of, like you were feeling, I'm not sure what to say next. Maybe they have a chip on their shoulder. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just flustered. We all know one little thing in a show can throw you off. And if you let your focus go, and I think a number of them came out, and I think a few of the comics in the show were a little more caustic than they would have been in another situation. And
correct.
And so, I think it's based on this idea that if you, like the tree falling in the forest, nobody hears it. I think if you have an opinion and you don't put it on social media, you probably really didn't have an opinion.
But also, there's no accounting for it. Like I said, we've gotten good reviews, and there's a reason to get good reviews. It's beyond a walking tour. Whatever your expectation level is, we're giving you a lot more. And it's not priced high. You have all those things, and then you see something it's 1 star.
Mark, do you remember the Vernon story? The Vernon story is a man's walking down a path, and there's a canary and a crow. And they're arguing over who has the best voice, and they ask the man to judge it. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. I screwed this whole thing up. See, this is why I don't do comedy.
Are you on your medicine, Stan?
He walks down. Yeah, I'm on Mark's medicine. He walks down the road. There's a canary sitting beside the road crying. And the man says, why are you crying? Crow and I had an argument over who had the best voice. And they said they'd let the next thing down the road, next person or animal down the road, judge. So a pig comes down the road. And he says, sure, I'll judge for you. And the canary sings in these beautiful dulcet tones. And the pig says, yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's not bad. But let's let the crow sing. And the crow barks out this awful, nails on a chalkboard thing. And the pig says, well, geez, there's no comparison. I mean, the crow is obviously the best singer here. And so the canary's crying about that. And the man says, don't you get it? In this world, the pigs are voting.
And the crow will be at the next Magic Live.
Yeah, we're putting the crow on. That was a Vernon story.
That was a Vernon story.
Yes, sir.
I never heard that one.
Well, neither had Vernon.
Yeah. Well, anything, by the way, as we start to wrap up over here, I want to find out, is there something you can share perhaps you are going to be doing? Well, you already said, Mark, first of all, as far as Weird Reno, you're going to be having someone else who's going to be taking this over. But is there a place where, again, they can go to your website to
Weird, if they were interested in Weird Reno, weirdreno.com, or if you go to our Facebook page, Weird Reno, lots of social media stories there and footage and stuff like that.
And how long is the tour?
Well, we're still getting going. And then for anybody that wants info on just Ginger and I and our career and the different projects, that would be bestmagicshow.com.
And how long is the tour, by the way?
The tour, the entire tour is 90 minutes. About an hour of that is outside. Like I said, it starts, we have our own little room, which was sort of our expedition beginning place where you check in. And then there's about an hour out among the locals, the river, the history, the buildings, the alleys. And
what about walking? Whenever you have people, obviously, some people in wheelchairs, or maybe you can't walk too far, but how many blocks or how far would you say people normally have to walk on that?
Oh, you know what? It's very light on the walking. I think in total, the entire walking tour is 3/4 of a mile, which is not too much. It's at a leisurely pace, and it is handicap accessible.
Okay.
We also have we have 2 emissaries that travel with us. They sort of look after our guests, make sure our street crossings. I mean, what's different about Reno than say Bath, England is a walking city, but we're talking about, you know, we've got streets and cars and traffic. So, you know, that was first and foremost, was to make sure. That being said, we've still had a lady fall off the curve, but she curved. It's actually fascinating. There's a great ritual in Reno that's been going on for hundreds of years, not for about 100 years, which is the Virginia Street Bridge, which is the divorcees, because they would take their ring off and kiss it and toss it into the Truckee River, which, you know, was memorialized in movies and stuff. And last Saturday night, I guess this gentleman was moved by the story, because he said, you know, I just got divorced, and he took off his gold wedding band, he gave it a kiss, and he tossed it into the river, and he couldn't have been happier. It was like, wow.
Do you do the linking finger rings on the bridge?
Not on the bridge. We do the trick.
Do you?
The bridge is a challenge, because there's a lot of wind and it's colder and there's the sound of the river. So
you're not going to do a bridge jump like Houdini or anything like that?
Nothing like that. Everything on this we can fit in 2 suitcases. That was the other thing. It's like, you know,
and you want to be able to pass this on to someone else who's a non-magician to perform this for you.
Well, yeah, and the key is to make. I mean, there's a lot of you know, interactivity, group participation. Really, it's about the guests and their participation, and you know, I mean, that's the key thing. And actually, one of the things I sensed in our previews was, oh wait, it's way too much about me. It's about watching me talk. Fundamentally, that's wrong. It's about them. It's about them doing stuff. It's about the city. I'm just sort of, you know, pushing it one way or the other. So.
And let me ask you, Bill, then also as well, as far as your Magic Expo. Again, it's a waiting list right now, and nothing to report. Other than people should get their reservations if they haven't already at the Orleans.
Yeah, I sent tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll send out another email to my registrants and just an update on how we're dealing with, the hotel rooms and stuff like that. But yeah, and then moving forward, I might have a website or something. But right now, I'm just kind of building off of what I'm doing this year, and I want to keep it kind of a little smaller and exclusive because I think that makes it a better convention for what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, again, I guess David can only take so many people in there also, and you want to try, which goes back again, I think, to original collectors back when Mike Cavity and those guys, and you had that, I remember Stan telling me years ago when I was the convention editor saying, if you ever get a chance to get broken in and you can break into that convention, you should go to the Magic Collectors out in LA.
Did you ever go to that, Scott?
I never got a chance to go to that. No, it was
I
always
wasn't part of it, but I certainly I was lucky to talk at 3 of them, and I went to every single one of them. But I did one in 2015, 2008 here in Vegas, and it was with John Mooring and Bob Rossi. They were my partners on it.
Oh yeah,
and that's when we did the tour of Copperfield's museum, and that's when at that time his museum was maybe about 7,500 square feet, something like that. Now it's almost 20,000 square feet. So the fact that we're going to get people through there is going to be pretty amazing. And but nobody's going to be shortchanged. You're going to see everything, and it's going to be terrific.
And that's going to be late at night. Obviously, that's after his show's over, like at midnight or something.
No. My tours are during the day.
Are they?
Friday. Yeah, we'll start at 9 o'clock in the morning and finish around 3. So
okay,
yeah, because he's back working. So it would have been great if we could have done it, or during the pandemic. He had more time, but of course that's not happening.
I had heard, yeah, he had a lot of time, and he was actually showing up on people's Zoom shows.
Oh, he's done a lot of stuff, yeah, and but he's kept busy. He's David Copperfield, so he's either working on the museum or he was out at his airplane hangar. Stan and I went out. There was a great event where he actually was able to get the Learjet that he vanished on that early special. I think it was like 84. And Stan and I were out there when that plane came back for to be on display in David's hangar. And that was a really great, was a great day. Wasn't it, Stan?
Oh, it was fantastic. And they had to get special permission to fly it. It's not supposed to fly anymore. And they flew it up.
So old and it was really loud.
And the guy brought it in and circled us all around and then landed it. And, it's the last flight it'll ever do, so it was very cool. The other thing, David he's had the time to work on the museum and the collection. And, we've seen collections before where people have resources to do it nice, but David not only has the resources, he has the desire and the eye. He has such a good eye. And I'm telling you, there was just a library one day, and a month later I came back. It was the most beautiful library in the world.
He's had people from the Smithsonian and other major museums come through, and they're kind of envious because they take it with he and Homer and Chris Kenner, they take it to a theatrical level of adding music and lighting, and each room's like a little show. So it's terrific. And so I go over there almost every day now. He's kept me busy working on the museum, and sometimes I become a little jaded walking through there, and it's overwhelming how much stuff is there. But it's just
there was a question there. Obviously, you see there if someone who would wants to find out if they can get on the list for the next one.
Good luck. I don't know. It's still working it out. I didn't even want to announce that I'm doing Austin next year because I haven't done August yet. But I want to give people, at least my core group who are going to be coming in August, I want to give them kind of a save the date. So we'll see how it plays out. But
Bill, don't worry about it. Just do it. What can go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong?
I think that's a good closing right there.
Well, I want to close with Stan to find out if you have any other last comments of anything that you wanted to state then also about the convention or what next year or anything at all.
Oh, sure, Scott. I'll tell you everything we're going to do.
Sure.
Did you see that scroll? That's funny.
Yeah, I saw that scroll. Thank you.
Since you're not having the convention this year, yeah, I think you can help support his family.
Hilarious.
No, the nice thing is, there are a couple of things that we had designed for 2020 that didn't get to roll over to 21. But a lot of the stuff we're working on, we work with individuals about doing something special. And in most cases, these will roll right over to 22. A few things. We were going to have some fun with Zoom calls in 21, which I doubt we'll be able to do in 22. I'm hoping that'll be more behind us. It's just, you just keep rethinking it. I always say Magic Live, the byline should be overthought for your enjoyment. And now we just have more time to overthink it.
Yeah, you got another year to, well, not actually a full year. You just got
just a year.
Yeah,
just a year from now.
Right, that's right. So next May. That's right. Another year to kind of overthink that. Do you have the same team in place that you had before?
Yeah,
related to them.
They
They're not
these
going anywhere.
contracts. In many cases, they're called birth certificates. They didn't realize they had signed them when they were born. But my family, my youngest daughter Katie is associate producer. She's my right-hand person on everything. And then my son Stephen and his wife Nikki handle all the AV and the program building and everything else. And Rory Johnson's been with me forever. When you sign up to work at Magic Live, there's these little clauses nobody reads. It says you have to do every single Magic Live after this. Ask Kalin. He's done a number of them. And he said, I didn't know I'd already signed up for this. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, listen, guys, thank you very much. This has been just a fantastic hour and a half. The virtual happy hour went by very quickly and a lot of fun. And I thank you guys very much for being a part of this evening over here. It's been fantastic. Cheers to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. And if you can hang around, by the way, for just a few more minutes, I'm going to take you guys back out. And then when I end the podcast or the broadcast, you can kind of hang around for just what?
Okay, so we get paid after.
You get your free drink vouchers, yes.
Oh, yeah, drink vouchers. Yeah. Okay,
that's
fine.
right. Yeah. So I'm going to take you out. Okay, time for me to take you guys out of here. So it's been great. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate everyone who has been on the show here this evening. You guys have all been great. It's been, boy, I don't know. Wow, a lot of folks. Thanks a lot for coming in here this evening and joining us. It's been a lot of fun. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't had a chance over there, then to go over and get take a look at where it was that. There it is. You're going to get to over there. There it is. And if you go over there to M&M badge, you can then print out your own badge, and that way I can actually show your picture whenever you're going to be over there like this, like Mark Rich was. So this way, if you just kind of print that, I'll put your picture up over there then next week then too. So it's kind of like enjoying it's not a real convention, but it's almost as if you're here with us. If you kind of have a convention badge, you're kind of sitting there enjoying that as well. I will say, by the way, a couple of things. One is right now we happen to have a contest that's running one more week at themagicwordpodcast.com. If you get a chance to win the Grandpa Magic by Alan Kronzik. So if you just go over to themagicwordpodcast.com, and there should be a form for this one, and it was in there last week then as well to sign up for that. This week we did have a contest that ended with a free copy of the Magic Graveyard by Al the Only that went to Jim Jorgensen. Congratulations, Jim, for winning that. And also we had, again, that contest, which is going on. And I just have got just a lot of balls in the air, a lot of things that are going on. Something else that's completely different. If you enjoy film, if you enjoy television and the magic that makes the movies, we have a thing called Mincing Movie Magic. It is really like a film school. So this is really for the dedicated students of people who happen to like film and want to learn more about behind the scenes. That's at Mincing Movie Magic. which is on facebook.com/mincing movie magic. I just wanted to mention that as well. Anyhow, we got a lot of things that are going to be going on. Next week, we're going to be having 3 more people who are fantastic guests. We're going to be having Franz Harari join us. We're going to be having Rob Lake and Rick Wilcox, who are big illusionists, and we'll be visiting with them. They'll be telling us about what all is going to be going on. And so... Don said he wanted me to put the badge download there again. Let me see if I can find that just real quickly. Where was that? There it is. Yeah, tinyurl.com/M&M badge. So it's again tinyurl.com M&M badge, and that way you can complete your own badge, and it's going to look like that right there, and you can put your name right there, and then take a picture, a selfie of you, and we'll post that then next week that you can join us there as well. I forgot to show this picture of Stan. That was an earlier picture of Stan before he had his rabbit in the hat. What was up with that, Stan? You remember that picture?
Oh, well, sure I do. We had a little poodle lived across the street, and I thought the whole idea when you're trying to get booked on things is get in the newspaper. And I had that. I never pulled that poodle out of that hat. I never used that poodle in my show ever.
That was just a promo photo.
In about 25 newspapers around Southern California.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was before you had your rabbit. What was this? What was your rabbit's name?
Oh, I was just going to let you suffer through that for a while longer. Stuart.
Stuart the rabbit. Yeah.
Stuart.
You were, boy, I hate you.
I was 15 years old, 16 years old here. Stuart didn't come along until I was 25.
When you're much, much older. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, but no more mature.
Which you are not now either. Okay. I'm taking you back out. So thank you guys again very much. Thank you very much. Stuart. No, it's Lori, that's funny. No, you spelled that, I believe. Yeah, there we go. It is actually Stuart. Yeah. And I think actually he spelled that a little bit differently then too. And I think you should probably know then, Lori, of course, with Stuart McNally, your husband. That's funny. Anyhow, you guys have been great. It's been great. Thank you very much for Denmark for being in the house over here, and Debbie Leifer also. I appreciate you being over there from Atlanta, and Peter Brown. I appreciate you being here then too. And I think that's about all that we can probably digest for this week. And again, next week, we're going to be having another great episode. Please be here. Download your badge. Take a picture of that. So this way we know exactly where was that? Just a second. So this way that we have a picture of you with your badge. And let me see where we are over here. I want to... Sorry, this just takes me so much time. I'm the guy pulling the curtains and pushing the buttons and everything over here too. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you being here with me then this night. That again was Stan, Bill, and Mark. Thank you guys very much for being here. This is Scotty out.